Related to what you're asking, it seems like Benton Soil and Water Conservation Service, they do a lot of that. When you have a problem, they're willing to come out and give you advice and give you trees and actually provide some labor sometimes. So that might be somebody you could call right away. And I think there is a lot of data out there on temperature. I know Marysville Watershed Council has ongoing temperature data loggers going in. They've had that for a number of years. There's Department of Agriculture has some data on temperature. And it seems like what we're doing, we're talking about riparian buffers as being, we're inferring that water quality is going to improve from the riparian vegetation that's there, and I think that's pretty well documented in a lot of studies. So that's what I was going to say. I mean, we're not measuring everything, but we're assuming that if we have a better, healthier riparian zone, we're going to reduce the amount of solarization of water on the small tributaries. We're going to reduce erosion. We're going to reduce contaminants and so forth. Is that correct? That's the assumption we're making. So my question was going to be, your monitoring, and it's related to this lady's question. It's an adaptive management approach. So what are your targets for, let's say, losing vegetation? If you're losing 5%, is that going to be an alarm call that says DEQ is going to step in and say, well, we're going to have to change something? Because in 5 years, you could lose a lot, but you also might gain a lot. So I'm wondering, what are your targets for improving or increasing riparian vegetation, and what are some concerns for loss over a year's period, say, or two?
Since we started this project, this idea of a threshold of loss or a specific target where there has to be this many stream miles for this healthy of stretch of stream or watershed has not been, possible, and I don't think you could get anyone to agree on a number. What we're doing is, as you put it, using adaptive management and building on the science that's already there in all the programs to enhance the stream side, depending on what the current situation is and location, that sort of thing. That is a valid point though on is 5% too much, is 10% too much, that sort of thing. And Greg, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that, but it's not in there.
Yeah.
We had quite
it's hard to come up with a number for that, but if there's gradual decrease, at what point do you step in? At what point does DEQ? It might be something to think about anyway.
we have, and we're open to suggestions, but it's hard to put a firm numeric number on it because, first of all, how do you quantify all of that, and then how do we know exactly where that threshold should be? So it's not so much a numeric target as as little losses seems feasible. That kind of concept.
Jeannie, you had a question? And we'll go to Mike.
Go ahead.
You're on.
You're early in the learning curve here, and this is really neat because, first of all, there hasn't been a program where people walk the stream regularly, where you can be called and will go out and consult. So having this in place is very, very good. One of the things that I think you have going for you in dealing with the DEQ is that right now the DEQ probably has the poorest data on counties, rivers of any organization, and you can help them by explaining to them what they need to know rather than waiting for them to tell you what's wrong, because they don't know as much about what's wrong as you do. Now, there are at least 10 tributaries that I know of with fairly intensive research going on in your system. There probably is no basin in the state that is getting as much examination as the Marys River system. And you can learn a lot from that. And our work at OSU and the work of the Watershed Council, we are absolutely going to be generous with the data. What the heck, they're paid for. There's a couple of $1 million worth there. And so I recommend that you collect as much of that data as you can, learn what it tells you, and then hold the DEQ to the same standard. And that's something you can really contribute. and I look forward to hearing good stories about it.
I have a couple questions, they're all related about how you're measuring the vegetation. Are you trying to get 100% vegetation, overstory over over the streams? Because like in an old-growth forest, you have lots of big trees, but it's one of the least diverse of the forest climaxes, and I would expect the same thing to happen in a riparian area. Also, when you're measuring the height of vegetation, you give the same amount of points for a tree as you do for a shrub. I know in places that we have cleared, there's a clearing, or we have cleared away vegetation from part of our stream bed. Small plants that come through, grasses and monkey flower, whatever it is, and some probably watercress, I don't know what it is. But they have a filtering capability because they're right in the water as opposed to a tree or a shrub, which is just along the side of the stream bed. So I would think that if you have more variety, don't be so concerned about how many trees you have overhead, because if you have trees overhead, you don't have as much of these smaller plants that do filtering in your stream. So I guess the bottom line is variety is really important. You can't just have all trees, or just trees and shrubs. You need some of everything. So I'm more concerned if you're trying to get all this covering over the stream, that you're missing an important part of a stream ecology.
Yeah, we don't, related to the last, or before Mike's question on the targets, we don't have a target for density of canopy or anything like that in this program. It's documenting what it is currently, as you put it, what's going on in the local ecology, how is this stream acting, what's appropriate on one stream reach is not appropriate on another. So we don't have targets for 100% cover or anything like that.
Okay. And another thing is, you're using LiDAR, which my concern is for our amendment rights. If you come in and the DEQ goes over this LiDAR data and says, oh, these people cleared vegetation from this part of their stream, are they going to come back and use that against us for a fine or something like that in the future? Because that would be like against the both of them, like in the future.
I don't know what DEQ would do. As Greg mentioned, this isn't a DEQ program.
Would the county do that too, though? Would the county look at the maps and the photos and say, oh, these people need investigating?
No, this is a voluntary
At this point?
monitoring program, and this is public domain data for the most part.
But this is also private property.
Yeah, we have the LiDAR information for more than just riparian vegetation. It serves a lot of other functions.
Right, but I hope that information will be used improperly against our rights as property.
Well, that's a good